Hi kids, this is Miss Nichols, and I just wanted to make a quick little reminder tutorial about how to make your graphs using Google Sheets. So the first thing you should have is your data set up in a table with two columns, and you should label the columns. So I have the first one labeled independent variable, but for you that'll be whatever in your experiment you changed, and don't forget to write down your units there. And then I have dependent variable, which is the thing that you measured with the units that you measured it in. You want to probably have between 3 and 5 data points. If you happen to take multiple data points for the same value of the independent variable, I would recommend that you average your data points and then put just the average value in here for your dependent variable. So you don't make a graph that looks sort of funny. All right, so we've got our data here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of the cells that have data in it, like that, by clicking and dragging. And then I'm going to say Insert, Chart. A chart will pop up, and it sort of chooses a random format. In physics, we always want to change the chart type over in this chart editor. So you're going to go down and select Scatter Plot. If for some reason you lose your chart editor or accidentally close it while you're working with it, you can always get the chart editor back by clicking on the chart and then clicking on those 3 buttons at the top and saying Edit Chart. So after we've got our scatter chart, we want to check to make sure that it's plotting the right things. You should always have your independent variable, whatever it is, on your x-axis. So where it says x-axis, you want to see it say independent variable for yours. And then you want to make sure that the series, which is basically the y-axis, is showing the dependent variable that you took data on and want to graph. If those are incorrect, you want to click on this triple dots next to the one that's wrong, and you say Edit, and you go back in and you tell it which cells in your spreadsheet we want to be graphing. So my dependent variable is cell B1, which is the label, all the way down to B6. So this is the correct range for me, but you could change yours if yours is wrong. And then you say OK. Once this is all set up correctly, you want to go into Customize. The second label under Customize is Chart and Axis Title. If you click on that little triangle, it'll open it up. It may have automatically put the correct label on your graph and the labels on your horizontal and vertical axis, but if you don't like the way they look or you want to change it, you can click on this drop-down menu and select the chart title, the horizontal axis title, or the vertical axis title to change any of the labels on your axes. Once you're happy with the axes titles, click on that triangle again to close up that part of the Customize editor, and go to the next one, which is Series. Series is probably where you're going to make a lot of your most important changes. You could change any of the formats that you want, but the most important parts are down at the bottom where we have the error bars and the trend line. For our graphs in this class, you want to turn on the error bars, and you want to change from a % error to a constant error. You've got to think about your data to decide what the value of this error should be. This is the error in your dependent measurement, so whatever it was that you measured for your dependent variable, think about how much that measurement actually could differ if a different person came and tried to run the same experiment. So if someone completely different tried to do the same experiment and measured the same thing, how much different would their data be? So choose a value based on that. Mine's not a real experiment, so I'm just choosing a value of 3 just for fun. You also want to turn on trend line. Probably many of you guys will have linear graphs based on your data. If the linear trend line doesn't work and you're looking for an inverse trend line, then you could try choosing a different type. So if you think you don't have a linear relationship, I would shoot for exponential trend line, which is probably the one that's most likely to look like an inverse trend line for you. The last thing you want to do is to go down to where it says Label under Trendline and turn on Use Equation. That's going to go ahead and show the equation for your trend line up here in your graph. It's in y equals mx plus b format, so you'll need to use that equation when you analyze your graph in the rest of the lab write-up. I'm going to go back up and close series. That's probably all you need to do for your graph, but you also can make adjustments to the horizontal range and vertical range using horizontal axis and vertical axis if you needed to. So once you've done that, you're just going to go back to your Google Sheet and you're going to select the graph and copy it. I find the easiest, most reliable way of doing this is Edit, Copy, and then you can paste that into a Google Doc for your analysis. Thanks and happy experimenting.